In the nightlight, do you see what you dream? Oh, your triumph and all you'll ever be. Look around you, then you may realize happiness lies trapped in misery. And who knows what of our future? We can all try to change our past. Only you know if you'll be together. Cause every night I will save your life, and every night I will be with you. Cause every night I still lay you awake and I dream of a nice solution. Cause every night I will make it right, and every night I will come to you. But every night it just stays the same and I dream of a nice solution. Cause every night I will save your life, and every night I will be with you. Cause every night I still lay you awake and I dream of a nice solution. Cause every night I will make it right, and
Hi, it's me. Welcome to the stream. Sorry about that. Accidents are happening right now. If my audio sounds different, I have a lapel mic going. Right now, I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with my capture card because it's not loading, and my setup's entirely different right now. So it's going to take me a little bit in order to actually get that up and running. So please give me a few seconds while I figure that out, and I will put something on screen for you to enjoy while I do that. I don't know why it's not working, and I completely forgot to change. What is it? I forgot to change my drink again. There it is. Currently we're drinking some apple juice, but we're going to run out of that soon, so I'm going to make it water right now. Let me put something up on the screen for you while you wait for me to do things. Maybe a 4. Boop. And then funny GIF. Get ourselves a funny GIF going. Yeah, that works. Yeah, this one. Play a bit of some funny music while we wait. Also, my current setup, I can't hear the music that I play because God hates me. Do I have PC music here? I don't have PC music here. Of course I don't. See this? Yes. And then got my files again to get music going while I figure out what's wrong with my stream. Give me a few seconds to figure out what's going on. Apologies. Okay, it's working now. Delete that. Delete that. Now here's a good question. Can I hear the audio? Nope! I love how my system works. I have to deal with crappy audio now because I have to use earbuds. I have to use wireless earbuds right now because I don't have any actual earbuds because a lot of things have happened this weekend, including, where is it? Audio? Yeah, there it is. Including that I got my ears pierced, and if I wear my normal headphones, they will bother my ears. So now I have to wear these. And for some reason, my filters aren't on this. Where are my filters? Did I not? I did put a compressor on this. Why is the compressor not working? What's happening? The compressor's just not working. That's so cool. I love that. That's great. It just don't work. That's fine. Okay. Apologies. My setup is currently set up so that I could do the Funny Six stream, but we're not doing the Funny Six stream today because I honestly probably still have to set up a bit more for that. And plus once again I'm currently using these new wireless earbuds and I don't like earbuds, but this is what we have to deal with today. And the stream's starting off real late compared to usual because of that. And that's overall not great. We're not having a great time today, I'm gonna be honest. Tomorrow I'm planning on going out and buying things, so hopefully I'll be able to get good working headphones, earbuds that have like cushions. I'm adjusting the volume on the wrong thing because of course I am. Anywho, welcome to Super Mario Party Jamboree. This is a fun game. I played through the entirety of the story mode campaign by myself. And it was good. It was a fun time. Yeah, I'm gonna have to adjust things again. Audio as we go along, probably, because I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how my audio is doing. My setup right now is a way that is very, very not great. I'm gonna be honest, it's all hodgepodge together. Because I was planning on streaming on Sunday, but then couldn't do that. Because God forbid I get through a weekend without strife, and I got sick. Drinking some apple juice. And so I got sick on Sunday. Howdy. No, you didn't drop a follow for me is the thing. I would have known because it would have said that. That's not how that works. And in fact, I might in fact just ban you instead. Goodbye! Anywho, what did I say yesterday? The one thing I'm sad about with this game is that there is no Hammer Bros, so I can't play as my good boy Hammer Bros here. But I found a little bit discombobulated because I got distracted watching a video, and then I realized I had 15 minutes till 2 o'clock, and I was like, oops, so now we're here. Come on, sit. Come on, Kimmel. I'm just gonna do a bit of, I think we're gonna do a little bit of the side modes right now. Because I haven't actually done a whole lot of those. Plus, if potentially people come in later and might want to join me for a party, that'd be fine too. Out of appley juice. I'm not joining with Brandos though. Apologies, that's not happening. No, where is... no, that's over there. The screen a little bit bigger? Alright. I'm actually playing a bigger screen right now today, actually. Hang on. Let's get our photos in. Hello, friend. Nice. I've gotten that guy before. I think I like the old picture better. Oh, the bombs. I keep getting this one, despite the fact that the rarity is 2 stars. But yeah, the reason, apologies for being a little bit late and starting the stream off pretty much 15 minutes late. I guess... Ooh, what do we do? I can do Toad's Item Factory or Rhythm Kitchen? I can do Rhythm Kitchen. I don't have the little thingamadoo for the controllers, the little grippies for the Joy-Cons right now. I can still do it without the grippies, but like I would prefer to have them. Yeah! That's okay. I'll deal with it. I haven't done this particular mode yet. I've done the Toad's Item Factory, and I did a bit of the Capathlon, but then I got kind of bored, so then I stopped it, and it didn't give me the reward for it, so that's cool. Anywho, Cook the Beat. Work as a team of 4 chefs that aim to create 5-star dishes. Have your Joy-Con at the ready, and get into the groove. Now, I don't know how much delay there is. Only one Joy-Con controller per player. I don't know you either. Hello. What a weird way to start. Here I go! No, I'm not short. That's just a picture. Is that your whole gimmick? Is that you just going into different streams and asking people if they're short to eat them? Is that it? Oh, we're not. No, we can't change the prompt. Alright, well, have a nice day, I guess. What's that emote? Neat. That's a neat looking emote. Stand up and play the music. I'm going to sit down and play the music, so, yeah, good luck with that. Critical. Use the Joy-Con strap. What if I don't want to? You can't tell me what to do, Nintendo. Hey. Time for Rhythm Kitchen, the premier musical game show for aspiring chefs. Yeah, I don't know how well this is gonna go because the delay is a little bit. Student contestants will work together to whip up tasty treats by cooking to the beat. The audio on my end. You'll be awarded a chef rank based on your dishes and overall performance. Cook in perfect sync with the teammates to be crowned superstar chef. Now for the moment we've all been waiting for, let's meet the chef! Monty Moore, Daisy, Waluigi, Mario! Was I supposed to wave? Sorry. Chef, here's the audience wave, if you please. I'm waving. Hello. Hi, welcome. I'm going to cook dishes for you. Dishes prepared today will be evaluated by the esteemed panel of judges. I feel like the Yoshis will just take whatever. Are we looking closely at... Oh, I forgot to do that. Now it's time to get moving to the beat. But the rhythm guides you. I don't like that it's auto. That the messages are auto. Oh, I gotta keep going. I didn't realize. Salad? Okay. On the beat, I get it. Okay, good. Okay. I have to use my actual hand for this. Two, 34. Okay, great. Oh my god, that was bad. Wow, that was bad. Jesus. I'm gonna do this with my other hand now. That's starting to hurt my first arm. Okay. I think I understand. Good. Interesting. Okay. Got it. It's a little hard. Switching arms again. The visuals kinda help with me timing it. Jesus, okay, spread butter. I see. Boop. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Wait. Wow, my wrist. Okay, we're not doing this again after this. Oh, we have to stop after this for sure. We're done? We're done now? We're done now. Where'd I put my Joy-Con holder thing? On the ground, next to me. Results. It was okay. Yeah, understandable. Have a nice day.
Congratulations!
Congratulations! Love is a secret ingredient achievement earned. Neat. Yeah, thanks, CPUs. Hello? Can I press the button? Oh, okay. Well, I'm still supposed to have it in vertical orientation, apparently. Got two. Think so. So that's neat. Got new cards in the card shop. Go to the balloon, please. Now it's going to have me do vertical, and I was worried about doing this with Joy-Cons because now I have to redo my controllers. Hey. Come on. I also had to send these controllers back into Nintendo at some point to get them, because they had drift issues, so I had to send them back in. They no longer do now that I sent them back in. We're just gonna play regular Mario Party now. I no longer care. I could do pro rules. I did look up the pro rules. It's interesting. I'm kind of curious about it, I'm gonna be honest. The bonus star will be announced, and then you can get an item at the start. Polling spaces will be different. Only a few different selections you can choose from. There's only 2 of each item. And there's places where the stars will be. It'll show you on the map. You can only steal 15 coins. You can steal a star for the regular amount. They'll not be hidden blocks. Go for minigames, and then you choose them. Special event for home. There will be duels. I'm gonna try it. And let's do it at... I was gonna try to not do it at a stage that I've already played, which I played Western Land on this channel before, apparently. I don't remember when, but I looked it up and it was there. One time I played Mario Party 2 and I played Western Land, so... I've already played Rolling Wasteway by myself. I think I'm gonna do Mega Wiggler's Free Party. Let's change them. Mario's back in there, so get Mario out of here. Yeah, I kinda want it to be just like little guys. Bunch of random dudes. Most common to least common. Or at least to most common. A bunch of random guys. Just the dudes having some fun. Easy, normal, hard, master. Let's do normal, and then Goomba can be master. And the speed is fine. We'll just keep that normal, I don't care. And now I pick an item to start with. Interesting. Let's start with shop item. Everything should be in place. Please turn the motion mini games off. I don't want to have to deal with changing the controller each and every single time I play this game. I'm not a fan of that. Anyway, I have cherry limeade water today. That's fun. Mega Wiggler's Tree Party. Yeah, I saw this in the single player, but not in the main game, so I haven't played this before, actually. I haven't seen anyone else play it before. Most of the time I've seen people play the mall one, and I want to play that myself as well, but I want to play it at a different time, probably. Maybe with my family, I don't know. Welcome one and all, this will be the stage for today's competition. Oh, excuse me, everyone's first time playing Ford, yes. I just play it. Giant Wiggler sleeps peacefully in this quiet forest. The air is filled with the smell of sweet. Things are so calm here, even the piranha plants are napping. It's dangerous to wake them up, so pass by quickly. All the treats are made by the Forest Honey Harvest here. Forest Honey Harvest here. Gotcha. Help harvest the honey to earn coins. You can walk on top of Mega Wiggler, but be careful. Sometimes Mega Wiggler will move or get angry. Complete a wrap around the board to get some coins. It might not be a bad idea to go around and around. Now let's use the dice to determine the turn order. Well, that sucks. Let's do it to it, boys. Here's 10 coins for each keep going. Roll a dice block and make sure where the star is. The star is... Here, collect 20 coins to trade for it and head on over. Now I'll announce what the bonus star will be this time. The bonus star is the eventful bonus for the lively player who lands the most event spaces for the happening star. And do your best to snag that bonus star. Now I'll pass out the items to each other for good use. We got 2 cell phones and 2 chain chomps, so Goomba's probably gonna change that right away. Or when someone gets the closest. Do it! Saga I'm not too worried about because I put him on normal.
Here we go.
So what a weird number of turns it being 12. God, my ears hurt. Earbuds having like very sharp edges to them. I don't know why that is the case for all modern headphones. I hate that. But yeah, yeah, the apologies to anyone who was waiting for anyone who was interested in the Sig stream who's been keeping up with my YouTube and my Blue Sky. Oh, there he goes. Bye-bye, Wiggler. Hello, friend. Bye-bye, Wiggler. What a funny fella. But yeah, this weekend, Saturday evening specifically, I started feeling nauseous, and then I got really sick. And over the course of that evening, so I was like, I can't do this Sunday because I'm going to be experiencing just not great times. So I didn't stream on Sunday, and I kind of waited out a little bit on Monday. But Monday I was feeling mostly better. I'm still recovering from being just absolutely feeling not good. Good to see what the items are. I didn't know there was a crystal ball in there that you can just call up. It might be good to call it up right away then, because he just got the first Wiggler Bell. And the items are going pretty fast. Have to stop. Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better today, actually. I started feeling a lot better yesterday. Though my stomach is still a lot shrunken. I apparently lost 5 pounds over the course of 24 hours of not eating between Saturday night and Sunday morning. Alright, what do we have? Custom dice block 3, okay. Oh, that's rough. Okay. Did I just get the half one? I should probably just get the double dice for now. If I end up getting enough money, then I'll be able to get the other one. But for now, it's probably just a safety net to have for later. Get him! 9. Nice. Where's the star? No, I don't have enough coins. I just bought from your shop, good sir. Let me check out the board. Star is way over there, so I have to go through here? Yeah, I have to go through here in order to get to it. Alright. Gotcha. Excuse me, pardon me. So yeah, yesterday I was feeling mostly fine, but then I wanted to go and
Minigame.
spend some of the Dunkin' Donuts card I got for Christmas. So I didn't stream yesterday. I like camera ready. Let's add that to the pile. Hey, nice. But yeah, I'm hoping to do the Sig stream this Sunday. Probably not this Friday. Probably not this Saturday, just in case family does stuff this Saturday. So probably this Sunday, but right now my setup is really weird, and if I sound a bit weird right now, it's because I am currently using the lapel mic that I was going to use on Sunday. Oh, it's a little bit close. Unfortunate. Oh well. Yeah, I figured it wouldn't be super great.
Round 2.
Where is that guy? In the back somewhere. Pretty close, not quite. A little bit off. Oh, too off for the game's liking for some reason. Jesus. Alright, and then... We got like one shot at this, so... Do not miss your chance to blow, because opportunity comes once in a lifetime, yo. What's this? God damn it. Yeah, I figured I wasn't winning. Goomba there. Oi, oi. This is what I get for getting one of these master. Very hard, EK. Anywho. But yeah, I still have to reconfigure everything back once I do this big stream. Because right now, my entire setup's flipped backwards. And my second monitor's on the floor, so I could have enough space on the desk, or so that it wouldn't show up on screen when I did the stream, but... I don't have enough points, that sucks. Goomba does, and he's probably gonna use a chain shot claw. Nope, it's pure dice block it, alright. It's a good thing he keeps rolling so low, Jesus. I like the little noises that they make whenever you start your turn. They make those noises as well, Oh. Hi, Wickler, bye, Wickler. Yeah, they make those noises as well when you, help them out in, the single player mode. And I didn't realize that each of them had, like, their own unique little song until afterwards. Ooh, uh-oh. Dead. One whole coin. Plant grew, it'll be 6 coins next time. Unfortunate. Why is that the case? That is 4-way, that is 5-way. I'm less likely to get it, but you still don't know. And the star is... It's probably best if I do it now, regardless. It'll just get me closer. I realize there's other star spaces that will appear, but... Give me another 6. 16, yikes! That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate for me because that means I'm really close to the star and I don't have enough coins. That way, please. So I do get to do this, so that's my first happening space. I think everybody aside from Shy Guy has gotten one so far. Help me harvest honey. I'll give you coins based on how much you get. There are 3 beehives. If you poke the right ones, honey will come out. You can try to get honey 2 times, unless you pick the hive with bees in it first, that is. I'm not gonna get any coins. Do leftmost. God bless America. Cool.
Bonus
They give me 0
minigame.
coins. Oh, good. Okay. Shadow play. I'd rather we do that, I'm gonna be honest. Alright, how do I... Okay, choose it with this. Up and down, and then you press the A to overlap, and then B to pull back. Gotcha. Okay. This is gonna suck. Oh, this is gonna suck.
Start. Round 1.
What do we got? What do we got? Go. Thank you, Christ almighty.
Round 2.
Go.
Round 3. 4.
Hey, okay. This one. Oh boy.
Finish.
I was very scared. I was very scared.
Winners.
We pick no main characters around here, baby. Only freaks and weirdos. I'm a freak. I'm a weirdo. What's wrong with me?
New turn.
I don't know how the song actually goes, I'm gonna be honest. I don't. I think I've heard it maybe once. Yeah, what else happened this weekend? Aside from that, yeah, Friday I got my ears pierced, and I went to, well, I kind of appreciate that a little. Oh! That's cool. Yeah, Friday I went out with my mom, my brother, and one of my mom's friends, and my aunt, and we had some funny chilies. And then got my ears pierced with the Claire's a couple towns over. Because we no longer have Claire's, because we no longer have a lot of stores in our town for whatever reason. They just keep moving. And I don't know why, and I hate it. And now we have 2 Taco Bells, even though we don't need 2 Taco Bells, and we're losing the Joanne fabric. It sucks. And I prefer physically going shopping most of the time, so I can actually see the products before I buy. I very much so prefer to see the products before I buy them. But yeah, in any case, I posted a picture of the earrings on Blue Sky. They're little star earrings, and I have to wear them until... Let me check the calendar, actually. I haven't been paying attention to the time so much. I don't like how many items Goomba has currently. Not a fan of that. I have to wear them till, like... two and a half weeks from now, I think. Oh! Oh, no. Oh, Jesus, no. Oh, no, 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 no.
Versus minigame.
It's battle minigame time. 20 coins, huh? Well, 20 and 1 coin. That guy did his best. I get to pick minigame? I get to pick a minigame. Camera ready. I can do very good at that. Good pop quiz, connect the flag, sandwich, bloodshed egg. I want to say they have the most chance of winning with sandwich. So we're gonna do that one. It's so weird how, I think this, I'm guessing it's the pro rules that I can select the minigame like that. Yeah, I have to keep an eye out for Jamboree there, for sure, but also keep an eye out for myself. That guy like died immediately. That's pretty real good. Ow. Dingus. Okay. Yeah, similarly to Goomba, my play is just mostly staying in one spot and then eventually moving. Oh dang, Koopa's gone. Oop, almost died there. Whoa! Ah, there we go. It got a little too high for me. Unfortunate. Well, I just lost 20 coins. That's a dang shame. That is a dang shame. We will survive. Sorry, I had to press the A button. Oh, thank God I got the single 1 coin along with it. So I did have a loss, but it was almost like I won a regular minigame. So in that sense, I didn't lose. My setup is really weird right now. I'm feeling all kinds of discombobulated right now. Snowball, cookie cutters. I don't like cookie cutters. Even if I'm on the other team. I haven't played on the other team yet, but we'll see how I do. Which one do I have? I have right. Gotcha. So I have to keep an eye out for when it's the squares. Yeah, this one's fun with doing it single player for
2,
sure.
1, go!
I have to put some total concentration on this though. You're doing great over there, Shy Guy. Keep it up. Oh, thank God I have to rest.
Finish!
Oop. I was a little bit short there. Yeah, they're all Mario things. Ain't that cute? All Mario items. Wow, that was bad. Wow, that was bad. That was a 10-point difference. Yeah, I'm probably going to stream again later this week. I'm probably going to end up streaming another console game because I don't feel like trying to orient
New
a
turn.
PC game and look at chat while I do this. It just seems like it's a little too much for me right now. How I'm doing it right now is even like more confusing to me because I'm playing off of my OBS as usual, but I'm using, like, you can do a windowed projector scene, apparently. You can like take one of the scenes and then put it up on in another window. Make a duplicate of it for yourself. And that's kinda weird. And there he goes, getting the star. Good for him. And he made sure to land on the happening space too.
You got a
Zoomer.
star.
You got a star. Where's the next star? Yeah, just place them all right behind me. All of them right behind me. That's so cool. Fast forwarding it that a little bit. Pro mode is an interesting mode, I gotta say. It's like just slightly off from regular Mario Party, where it's like not too big of a difference, but like, okay, well, I guess he's moving back. Alrighty then. It's just slightly off enough that it's like, oh, okay, I guess this is how we're playing video games? I forgot it was my turn, I forgot I was multi-mole. Hey! Oh, baby. I can't, man. What have you got? Dueling glove, warp block. Oh. That cost me a lot of money. Though this is random, this cost me a lot of money. Using all opponents. Oh, that's fascinating. I like that, actually. I will take it. Thank you, Mr. Kamek. I never can choose in how big they've made Kamek's role in the games over the years, but that's just me. Hello! Steal from Goombert. He's got too much going on. I didn't even realize I was passing by the blue area. Oh, Dizzy. Oh, I see. I love the Goomba noises, they're really good. Multi-mole noises are like, oh no, why? Are just like 5 degrees off from Goomba noises. But that is 2 happening spaces, which is helpful. I'm playing through. I don't know the rest of the classes.
Mini
The rest
game.
of the class on our school field trip to Wiggler 23 Wards area. I don't even know where we are. Oh, I kind of want to do domination. Okay, thank God we're not actually doing it, because it would in fact hurt my wrist. Big top quiz. I'm gonna fail. Let's just do it. Anyway, I hope you all are having a nice Tuesday afternoon.
Start. Round 1.
It certainly has been just an average Tuesday, honestly. Okay. Is there more? That. Thank you. Short-term memory is hard sometimes. It especially gets harder once you're older, as I've found out time and time again.
Round 2.
Particularly from my parents and my grandparents. Okay. That one was crap. Thank you, friend. Goomba is fast, but not fast enough, I don't think.
Final
Alright.
round.
Final round. And which wasn't there? I think it was this character. Ah, dang, it wasn't. I hate life.
Finish.
I hate life, actually.
Winner.
I do kind of wonder how I'm sounding right now. Like, I don't really have a good way to check that, and I don't like how I'm listening to the game at the moment either. Just because I have to listen to crappy audio because, as I mentioned again, I'm using wireless headphones,
New turn.
wireless earbuds, so that they don't bother my ears. Wearing regular headphones does bother my ears. Hi, Peach.
Jamboree.
I can't get to her. But hi, Peach. I think two of us make a wonderful team. If you get Peach, you can purchase stars at half the cost. 50 stars at half the cost, so you can get 2 for 20. So go get her. She's right over there. Go get her. Do any of them are actually any of them buy her? Or are they all ahead of her? I think they're all ahead of her right now. Oh, you're not using that on me, buddy. I swear to God, if you steal my coins, I swear to God, thank you. When Goomba comes across, though, he's gonna steal my coins for sure. He's gonna steal his coins right back. Yeah, no, Peach is right behind both of them. They can't get that. Alright. Understandable, have a nice day. Sure. Okay. You're the only one with a star right now, you dingus. What are you doing? What are you talking about? What are you doing? You literally are the only one with a star. That's not going to benefit anyone. Least of all you. Yeah, I think we're going to have to end up passing on this particular Jamboree buddy. What a shame, what a shame. Yeah, I'm also planning. since I'm planning on going places tomorrow, I will most likely stream Thursday and then possibly Friday. Oh, cool, thanks, I appreciate that immensely, dude, that's great. I'll most likely stream on Thursday or Friday, maybe both. We'll see. Well, I can't really do it. I could do it Friday evening, but a lot of other people also stream. I've mentioned this before, but the reason I don't stream the evenings my time is because most everybody else that I know streams in the evenings my time, so I'd rather not like miss their streams like a lot or get in the way of their streams. Alright, I need to get some orientation going on here. So, Goombert is really close to the booth, so I think I should probably throw that down right now. Actually. Make it a lot less likely for him to steal coins from me. Next couple of turns. That will come up eventually. Please don't give me a 1. Please don't give me a 1. Please don't give me a 1. I'm gonna lose my freaking goddamn mind. That's 3 happening spaces though. I want to say that the others have also gotten 3. At least someone else has.
Minigame.
Crime Cut's funny. I think that one's a funny one. I like that one. Half and half. Which one are we going with? This one. Ow. So yeah, you have the thing is that you just cut it in half. You just gotta make sure it's 50-50. And the one time I played this in single player mode,
Start.
I actually got it like
Round 1.
almost 50-50 each time. So I guess I'm pretty good at like spotting these types of things. It might just be because of my OCD that it's just like so much easier for me to see like, oh yeah, no, that's not even at all.
Round 2.
Like, I think it was Sunday night, I was looking at my ears and I realized, oh, that's not, my earrings aren't really even. Cooper, you're gonna ruin this for me.
Final round.
And that's gonna bother me for the rest of my life probably, if I think about it too much, so I probably shouldn't. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That might be a little bit off though. Eee! That sucks. Okay. Please don't, please don't, please don't, please don't. Why though? Why though?
Finish.
Koopa, you ruined us. Mr. Koopa,
Winners.
you ruined this for us. Go sit in the corner and think about what you did. You ruined our family. Such in disgrace to the whole Koopa family clan name. The Koopa family name. Not anyone
New
near the
turn.
star, so it doesn't really matter. Peach, no one's going to get to you. Literally, no one can get to you right now. Shy Guy's also a good funky fella. I play as Light Blue Shy Guy sometimes in Mario Kart. The one time I streamed Mario Kart, I did play Light Blue Shy Guy. I also play Light Blue Yoshi on occasion. If you couldn't tell, like, that specific, like, sky blue color is, like, my favorite color. So I tend to put in a lot of things that I like. And tend to like to have a lot of things that like be that color. What is happening? You're always setting down traps as if, like, this is actually going to matter. And once again, Gooba's the only one with a star right now. And so it's not as if, like, Goomba could potentially land on the face. That is possible. But I have doubts that he will. And like a distance. Any sort of long-term distance would be good right now. Thank you. Why? Why? But why though? Now I'm in last place. Tomorrow's another day.
Mini game.
After all, tomorrow is another day. I've maybe seen the ending of that movie once. I've never actually seen the entire movie before. I like matchmakers. Jump the gun I'm not very good at because I've never been good at platforming to save my life. Oh, great. Alright, I am moving up and down. Gotcha. Okay. Got it.
Three, two, one, go!
I keep forgetting what character I am, I'm gonna be honest. Down, down. God dang it. You? Hate you. Yeah, just keep moving forward when we don't have enough room, dude. That's cool. Oh, dude. This sucks. Out of the way! Hate you. This is wonderful.
Finish! Winners!
If I'm not on the team with Goomba, I just automatically fail. What a game this is. Peach, are you losing yet? Nope, she's still there. It's more likely that the star is gonna spawn behind me instead of in front of me, which really kind of sucks. So. Morning. Howdy. I've been losing miserably at this game. What one should I have? Oh yes. I just like that one because it's funny looking. But why? Yeah, just place both of them there. Like, you're not gonna get anything out of that. Yeah, steal Shy Guy's coins. Steal them. Don't take from me. I have nothing. I'm just a lowly mole. From the common folk. God, he's probably gonna get the Happening Star too. Why does this app... Like... I get that I put him on Master, but like, that shouldn't affect the RNG! God, he's so big. Oh, that piranha plant is so huge! This board seems to be pretty good at like keeping your coins in check though. A lot of the other boards aren't super good at doing that, I don't feel. Well, maybe I would say the shop one would be, but like a lot of the times you have to land on space for shop, and it doesn't seem like a lot of people actually land on space for shop. I will take my coins back, thank you very much. Thank you, come again. Your tone, monkey mole. Yeah, one of these days I will play the funny, small stage. I am an active participant in capitalism and I love to spend money and shop.
Minigame.
The unfortunate bad habit of mine is that I profusely enjoy spending money. When I really shouldn't. Play all the cranes. I don't know, cage catch? I'm trying to think of the one that's most likely to have the one player at a disadvantage. This one kinda sucks. This one kinda sucks. I'm gonna be honest. This one kinda sucks. And not even the computer usually, like, escapes the graph.
Start.
Is the thing. Nope. Shy guys, get out of the way. Shy guys, get out of the way. You already have a Shy Guy, you dingus. This is hard. How do people do this in Mario Party 4? Oh yeah, speaking of Mario Party 4, that was one of my Christmas gifts. I probably mentioned that. Or, I showed the picture, I think. Yeah, see, not even the computers can escape the claw for long. Yeah, one of my... No! Oh my god! One of my Christmas gifts was Mario Party 4, which I can in fact play. There'll be a bit of a delay in order for me to do so, but I can play a real-life copy of Mario Party 4. Wow! So everybody was like, oh, I can, he asked me before Christmas came, like, which Mario Parties do we not have?
Only 5 turns
Very
left.
inconspicuously. He's been getting into the habit of buying a lot of, reused and, like, retro stuff. Retro games. No, 5 turns. Let's take a look at the standings. Wow! It was really fired up. This is one exciting matchup. Now that we're in the home stretch, Blue Space will give you 6 points, Special Mage 4, and you'll lose 6 points on Red Space, so watch your step. If you want to play with another save space, the duel will begin, and you can win your star. Remember the bonus star, it's the eventful star. Anyone can still pull ahead, so don't give up now. I lost track of how many stars I got. Bye, Peach! See you later, bye-bye! Yeah, all of us were, like, right ahead of her, so we couldn't get to her anyways. God dang! Alright, the music changed from the last 5 turns now. That's a thing. And that's the second custom dice block, so I can't get one, that's great. Though I can get myself a funny little star fight, if I so desire. I realize that's where the star is, but why would you do that to yourself, dude? What's wrong with you, man? Granted, that means Shy Guys probably... Nope, yep, okay, figured. We would wait until someone would get right next to the star in order to, switch it up. Oh, yeah, put it right in front of him, dude, put it right in front of him! Roll 1. Roll 1. Roll 5. Okay. There. I would say there's hope for me yet, but there's not because she'll go before me. God dang it. That sucks. Yeah. I have to type, aren't you? Yep. They're 25 points, huh? That's kind of perfect. Yeah, my brother's been getting into the retro games, so he was like, which ones do we not have? And I like listing them out. We didn't have 4, 6. We do have Advanced on the Wii U. We don't have Star Rush. And I believe that's it. Oh, and whatever the e-reader thing is, we don't have that one. But like, oh, and 3. We don't have 3. That one's one that we don't have, but that one's probably like a limited edition collector's item type of deal, because it's, you know, a N64 game. And I don't even think our N64 even works anymore, so... Jeez. Do I want to risk it? Like, that puts me at 14 coins, which is not great, but if I land on a blue space... How many? I have 3 left. So, I will... Oh no, but I can land here instead and get closer to the happening star. I think it's better if I land here instead. Yeah. It is risky. So we're gonna do it and hope that I place highly enough in the minigame to get 6 coins. The 6 coins that I need. We're trying to, yeah, we're trying to work this out in a good way. Ring that bell. Hooray!
Bonus minigame.
Oh, well that's good. I don't want to play Defuse or Lose. Gonna be honest, don't really want to play that one. Let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Matchmaking is pretty easy, in terms of... It's going to get harder when I get older, surely. But like, for now, it's easy. Oh, that was real close. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's gonna be like that the entire time, isn't it? Thank you. Nope. Thought we already... that was a buzzy I was thinking. I am Boob with the Fool. Pick up the card, you dingus.
Finish.
Boom. Bomba. Oh, great. But we took it. We take these. And now I have a star pipe. And nobody can steal my item at the moment because nobody bought the item stealing item at Kamek's place.
Only 4 turns left.
Great. Goomba still got that star in the bag though, which is unfortunate. I appreciate Shy Guy not using his funny dice on us though. That's very much so appreciated right now. I should really enunciate more. Having those thoughts about it as I talk today. Being in a slightly different orientation from how I usually stream is giving me more perspective on things, I guess.
You got a star.
You got a star. I might play a quick round of regular Marrow Prat after this. Not the other. Oh yeah, it's right there! I don't even need to use the star pipe right now, necessarily. Well, it'd probably be better if I did. How many phases am I away from that? Like 4? That's a huge risk, considering that Goomba does have enough money. But the next star is gonna show up if I go to the map after this. The next star is gonna show up behind me, so... Oh, well... I mean, Goomba doesn't have enough money for it, but... I'm like 4 spaces behind it. 5. Ooh, it's 50-50. No, wait. If I'm 5 to the star, isn't it? 50%. Ugh. So yeah, there's spaces on the map where it says where the stars are going to show up, and the next star space is over here. Which, how close is Goomba to either or, actually? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 there. And then it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There? But if I use the type now, then I won't have it later. And that's bad. I'm going to dice block it. And if I don't get it this turn, then it's more than likely that Goomba won't get it next turn. Goomba tends to roll low anyway for some reason. I don't know how this keeps happening. But it's more likely that Goomba won't be able to reach it next turn. To Bubba.
You got a star.
You got a star. My very first star. Congratulations, Monty Mole. Good Alliance. Next star will be right over there. Goomba could potentially get that star. I still have my star pipe though. So if when I get 6 coins, I can use that, drop it, and then get another star. But I don't know if I'm getting the happening star is the problem. There are no more star stop spaces, so we'll set those now. God bless America. Never mind, then I land on the unlucky space again. Whoa.
Mini game.
So let's turn 10 to try to get it. That one, I guess. I don't know which one's more advantageous for me, so. Kinda doubt I'm gonna get this one. Not this. Oh, earbuds hurt my ears. I hate them so much. I hate earbuds so much.
Start.
I have to keep wearing these for 2.5 weeks. Funny flips and tricks. I got you were kind of in a bad spot, my guy. Yeah, I figured as much. Super, super. Get that over, baby.
Finish.
Good job, you you fool. You buffoon. You absolute imbecile. Imbecile. You didn't see what was right in front of you. It was spikes. Unfortunately, that's not enough to get a star, so I have to wait until turn 11.
Only 3 turns left.
Oi. Luigi!
Jamboree.
I just passed you though, bud. I like Luigi's minigame. Luigi's minigame is fun. What does he do? You have an easier time rolling bigger numbers. Oh, loaded dice. Luigi's over here to fire turn. Why don't you stop by and make a new ally? Yeah, Luigi's literally right behind me, so. He's right behind me, isn't he? Oh. And Shy Guy still refuses to use his funny dice blocks. Alright. I swear to God, you get the chest. Thank you. That one zone over there where everybody lays down their stealing star traps. That's the danger zone there, bud. It's a good thing I'm not over there right now, I suppose. Something, I suppose. Yeah. I have to play that game again sometime. Oh yeah, God love me. Wait. Shop Pop Box. Shop on Pop. Okay, go get your sorry. Disgusting. Disgusting.
You got a star.
You got a star. I really gotta stop putting characters on very hard / master so I actually stand a chance of winning. Yeah, I'm gonna make my way around instead and try to go for Luigi. If I don't end up getting to him this turn, then that's fine. I can just... I don't mind not getting to him this turn. Okay, I guess that's happening now. I mean, he has enough coins, might as well. That's a cute little picture.
You got a star.
Part of me does miss the funny taunting from the original games, but the reactions are a little bit funnier instead. I like those. They have a niceness to them. Goomba doesn't have enough coins at the... Goomba rather doesn't have enough coins at the moment, but that can all change. I don't think I can actually get to Luigi. He's 12 away, so there's no point in me trying to get to him. Okay, well... There's one bell left. I don't need the bell. Wait! I know it's better if I pass this way anyways, because now I get the 10 coin bonus. Hooray! And next turn I have to drop down the pipe. You have to lay some
Bonus
pipes around.
minigame.
Someone's gonna get first place again and then he's gonna get the star. Where are we going? Where are we going? Let's try Rinse to Riches, because at the very least then I can probably, you know, actually get a lot of coins out of that. Have enough for multiple stars. Eventually. But I have to watch out because Goomba's gonna be the death of me.
Start.
Actually, do we have enough time on Mario Pratt? We might not actually. It's a good question, Mega Man. No, you don't. Ah, shoot, no, you have enough. You have enough for the star now. Oh, this sucks. Ouchies. My body. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted, was to give Goomba more coins. Yes! I do have enough for 2 stars now, but so does Goomba. This is the story of my life. I'm moving to a mushroom. It's not the story of my life. I have no problems with mushrooms whatsoever. I'm sorry, Luigi. I can't get to you. I can't do it, bud. I can't. I just can't. He is once again not using his funny dice blocks. Good job, Shaggy. You're doing great, bud. I love you and I appreciate you very much, though. He's got another creepy dice block! Yeah, figured as much. Unless I'm actually able to get, you know, 2 stars in one. I'm not winning this thing. And I don't think that's happening. I don't think I'm gonna get 2 stars in one go. That sucks a lot. Over there! She's up there! Yeah, of course you want my money. Odd. Oh. You lose your star area, it's great. Uh-oh! Bounty time. Here comes Bowser! Here's Bowser! Here we come, this Bowser! What does that look like in Japanese? Because I know in Japanese they don't have as many, like, they don't often use as many, like, synonyms. So what does that even look like? Lose a star, lose a star, lose a star. Lose your star right now. Lose it right now. Alright. Thank you kindly. And I am beyond the lose your star area, so that's good. Oh, you know, that's actually really funny if someone had landed on the Bowser's face. Like if Goomba had landed on the Bowser's face, he would have lost 2 stars actually. That was actually smart. I'm going to land on the Piranha Plant, aren't I?
You got a star.
Hooray! I know, the Piranha Plant's back there. We're good then. Way over there. Goomba can't get it at least, but, you know, it doesn't matter now since Goomba's winning anyways, and can only win.
Dual minigame.
Alright, dual minigames. Shoot. I'm gonna do it so that I don't accidentally not, like, have 20 coins, so... 20, 23... Yeah, 23 is fine, that's fine. If he gets more coins, like, if he gets, like, 100 coins, I don't care. Because there's no coin star, it's only the happening star. So it doesn't really matter anyway. I don't think anybody's getting the last star, so it really doesn't matter anyways. I was hoping to land on the item minigame space, but whatever. This one's for all the marbles. Little hard
Three,
first through, I'm gonna be
2,
honest.
1, go!
Give him a death though. Ah, dang it, why? Get out of my way. Move.
Finish!
I hit him once and I win!
Winner!
Yay! 66 coins. Now, if only I had 6 stars. Yeah, that'll help your bingo bongo. Here comes the
Minigame.
Congo. Don't ask me what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm sorry, Luigi and Peach. I apologize to the Jamboree buddies. None of us wanted to play with you. Literally, I'd rather not give it a dance. Why would you do that? My guy! No! Like, I literally can't attack! This is just the funny Bowser minigame from Mario Party 1, but reversed!
Start!
Leave me alone! Leave me alone! Song reminds me of, I feel like a woman one. I feel like a woman.
Finish!
Don't know if anyone else could hear that. What are those guys called? They're like something beetles? Buzzy something? They're not buzzy beetles, I don't think. Because buzzy beetle is something else. I don't know what they're called though.
Final turn.
Hi, Luigi. Neither of us are gonna get you. Dude! I'm sitting right here, dude! What is your problem, man? You can put that on literally anyone else! Are you just mad because I won the duel minigame? I'm literally just sitting here, minding my own business. like when you push your sibling out of the seat. You're already sitting there. Yeah, go to the shop. Yeah, go to the shop at the last turn. Why not? I guess. I see what he did that. I see why he did that! Oh, that's so cool! Oh, I love Mario Party! Sorry, I bumped the mic. That went to the red. I don't know why my compressor is not working. Why is my compressor not working like at all? Good for Koopa, though. You can keep my star, I don't care. I'm getting bullied by a mushroom. Where are the filters? Okay, I'm using the wrong type of compressor, that's what the problem is. Why? I mean, you're stealing my coins, that's whatever, but like, why? They have like a different compressor and some sort of update to OBS. So I've been using the wrong compressor this entire time. That's so cool. Oi oi oi. They did a dual mini game and it was cool. Anywho. You dueled for stars, did ya? You dueled for stars, did ya? Can we stop making the piranha plant grow bigger? We don't need to do that. I'm using the mushroom. Thank you. It'd be funny if I ended up somehow getting to Luigi. Nope! Thank you for the 10 coins, I guess. Reimburse me after my tremendous failures. Oh hey! If I get the Happening Star, then like, I could have that one over Goomba, and that would be nice. But I'm probably not gonna get it. Big Meanie achievement earned. Oh! Oh, he got mad.
Final minigame.
I didn't know how angry Wiggler could happen. You just have to wake him up enough. I could potentially win free throw because apparently I found out from a wasn't a Snapcube video. It was it was a Snapcube video, wasn't it? Yeah, Snapcube video where the players on the outside have an extreme advantage in comparison to the players on the in the middle.
Start.
I'm balling. I'm straight up free throwing. I'm balling, dude. Kobe. Rest in peace.
Finish.
Well, that sucked. I got like a good chunk of the top ones though.
Winners.
But the fact that I got the top ones means that it makes it harder for me to get the ones on the bottom and the middle. Excuse me. My throat's starting to hurt from talking too much. Hey you! Y'all did a great job out there, but there can only be one superstar. Yeah, one. Looks like you have an audience here to cheer you on. Oh, how fun. I won't make you wait too much longer to refresh the monitor. Pull the window, let's check out the star distribution. Gee, I wonder who will win. Hard to tell based on the graph alone, but Goomba got a whole 2 stars in one turn here. And now see whether in case you don't remember the bonus star this time is Happening Star. For most happening spaces, this bonus goes to Yay! Yay! Without further ado, it's time to announce the winner. Who will be the superstar? Kinda wish I could skip this. Kinda wish I could skip this. Crowned King Supreme.
Congratulations!
Congratulations! A well-earned victory. How about we take some look at the fine details? Skill grade based changes based on those points and worldwide based on these points and worldwide match, so they're a useful reference. 19 points. Okay. So you get points as well in Pro Mode based off of where you place in the... Okay. Minigame points. The more minigames you win, the more points you can get. 400, 150, 150, 200. So we don't get any funny titles, we just get points. This is Pro Mode. We're playing peeps, baby. Yeah, I'm the only one that landed on the unlucky space twice. And Goomba landed on the lucky space 3 times. Because God only favors the most unfortunate of us. 10 reactions. Okay, 3 spaces travel. The other 2 are movement based, so Goomba would have also gotten it if it were the Slowpoke one, but Shy Guy would have gotten it if it were the most traveled or whatever one. There was not a showdown minigame, which I don't remember what those are. Revival spot. Never minigames one. Of course they did. 30 less coins. 30 less coins. Star to see 777. Good. Well, I have passed by the 10,000 point threshold. Anger Mega Wiggler, stop at an unlucky space. Play Pro Wheel for the first time. I can check some stuff in the inventories, I guess. Some points. Have a good rest of your evening, afternoon, whatever time it is for you. And thanks for stopping by. Wow! Wow! Incredible! Well, I definitely gotta get the Hammer Bros one. That's important. He's my guy. He's my boy. I'll eventually get all the reactions when I unlock them all, probably. But I don't feel like getting them right now. What do we have in the card shop today? No new stickers? No new stickers? No new stickers. Alright. We did get a new card design, though. A couple new card designs. Stamp out and the hot pop. Why is this one $9.99? What's wrong with you? Alright, I need to edit my card so that I can change the... Well, I have to look at the achievements first. I should probably just keep add insult to injury. That's just funny. Tomorrow is another day. Well, the secret ingredient. Anything else? I already did the party planner. Well, I have to go back and get all the stupid items, I want all of those, but I don't feel like doing that, so we're not gonna do that. Music shop. Music shop. Music shop. We got things at the music shop. Rainbow Galleria collection. And then also the Party Planner Check collection. Let's buy this because I've already played that. I mean, the quiz music's funny. Data house, you already looked at the data. Let me change characters. And then I'll play another funny minigame. I want to be... Oh...
Waluigi!
Waluigi #1. No, we're good now. We're going to the balloon. Any other guys hanging out here? Sometimes you have to zoom in a little beforehand to see them actually. Hello? Puppy! A little puppy dog. A little doggy. We only have real dogs here on Lego Island. Lego dogs here on Lego Island. Friend. Let's take a look. Yeah, no, I like that one better. That one has more balloons going on. Minigame day. Boom squad. I don't know how to play that. Screw it, let's do the rhythm kitchen again. Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? The blank Pokemon. Sure. Let's go with these guys. I am tired. Change order? Yeah, alright. I can be second. I'm fine with that. Let's do that. I didn't even know you could change the order. Up, 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 up. Skip it. Oh, we can do long. Sure, why not? Go for a little bit longer than usual. Hey! 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 I'm doing badly. Oh, that's not good. That's not a good sign. It's because this is, like, movement-based. It's hard. Okay. Interesting. Please. Okay. Help me. Hey! Why am I so late? Why am I so late? Why am I so late? What is happening? Okay. Gotcha. I see. Ooh, that's how you do it. Oh! Oh, that's fun. I like how the rhythm goes there. Oh, okay, I've got it. The mini ones are a little bit tough for me to figure out, I'm gonna be honest. Okay. Chop. I'm the only one that doesn't need a stool. Alright, here we go. Wait. This is probably easier when I don't have the leg. I didn't have to do too many consecutive ones, which is helpful. Oh, we're speeding up now. Okay, that's not good. That's not good. Uh-oh, we're doing the same ones for speeding up. This is just like Super Mario Party. Okay. Please. I'm just gonna keep slapping it until I eventually get it. I hate this actually. This sucks. This sucks. Help me. Bad, bad, bad pancakes, bad pancakes, bad. Please. Please. It's a lot harder when it's showing me like the front part, the top part of it. It's like I can't, like the top of the eggplant. It's like, oh, I go now. I go now. I do it now. I do me. I do now. God, that was terrible. Oy. Ow. My wrist hurts. I'm gonna play Splatoon after that. That'll definitely help my wrist. It wasn't terrible. Congratulations.
Congratulations!
Pop start chef? Sorry. I'm an executive chef. Wow, that's bad. Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's bad. I gotta play this not with a delay. I really gotta play this on my actual TV. Get 4 more stars and long. Nice. There's new inventory in stock. No, we're done now. I'm gonna check out the funny things at the store. What I don't like about this game is that you don't have an easy menu. You can view the party plaza, yeah, sure, but you can't actually like access the menu while you're doing this. This is the menu, and while it's neat, it can make it a little bit hard to get to stuff because you gotta keep going around in a circle in order to get to things. Voice crack. Damn it. Survival minigames. Salvage space. Beach bubble. Oh, there's only these card designs. What? Alright. At least I think that's what they're trying to tell me here. That kinda sucks. Yeah, it's a little bit early, but I think I'm gonna have to call it quits for today. I think I'm gonna have to call it for today, just cause, oh lord, everything's all oriented backwards for me. I need to sit down. I'm sitting down. I need to lay down. And my ears hurt from playing. So, yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Oy, 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 oy. Okay, good. My public is still. I transferred it over here. That's good. So next time I'll stream will probably be Thursday, and I'm gonna make an announcement thingy tonight saying that I actually am going to do this. Like, and oh my goodness me, why did you give me a raid? No, I'm out. I'm ending stream. This is a bad time to raid. I've been ice beamed. No, you've frozen me. You've doomed us all. So thank you for stopping by, despite the fact that I am in fact, ending stream. I appreciate it regardless. I will be streaming again on Thursday though, in the afternoon, if anyone happens to pop in for that. Oh, thank you so much for the follow. I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, and then on Sunday will be the sixth stream, and I don't know if I'm doing any on Friday or Saturday, but otherwise, yeah, that's gonna be it for today. I just played some Mario Party and got my butt handed to me a lot by a mushroom, so don't worry about it. Anyways, we can try rating somebody else as well. Uh, where is my trying to see who's online as well right now? Oh, I can read my friend here, Motionless Poetry. They do, they're playing some Elden Ring right now, if you guys don't mind stopping by there as well. I don't have, like, any kind of race phrase I was planning on using, but, yeah. So, yeah, Thursday, and then Sunday, and then I don't know what's happened after that. Anywho, I think that's it. Yeah. Okay. Bye.